Hello, welcome back to my channel, Thrifty Day. My name is Leah. You don't often see my face, and I'm the creator behind Thrifty Day. Today's episode is going to be a look into my studio. I'm actually getting tons of things ready to ship for Patreon tomorrow and throughout the week. I have lots of journals and zines and ephemera kits and pen pal mail and postcards. And I just want to show you a little bit of my process, where I get things, how I choose themes, and how I put collections together. So if you have any questions, leave them in the description box down below. And if you're interested in joining my Patreon, all of that information is also linked down below. So let's get into the video. So the most important component to most collections and where they really do begin is with the journal. I usually make a prototype, and that one journal will inspire an entire collection. So for this video, I thought the first tier I will show you is the postcard tier. I love the postcard tier. I have so much fun finding postcards to send. These ones were very woodsy, and they had fairies and lots of nature components. And so I think these would be really fun to use, especially in the fall or the autumn months. And now we're going to take a peek into my pen pal tier. The pen pal tier is special to me because it's truly something that inspired my entire Patreon from its conception. I send only paper products in my pen pal tier because that's all you can send with a stamped envelope. And I still send my pen pal mail in a very old school way. I use stamps. I handwrite every single address every month, which I think makes it a little bit more special. I do try to add vintage components when I can. Those are vintage book pages. Those are large dried stickers, journal card, and they all go into these handmade pockets. I did make those pockets using digitals from Tonya Samuels. She is here on YouTube and on Etsy, TikTok, and Instagram. I also put everything into one of these vintage Robin's Blue Egg envelopes. These are vintage. I found them at an estate sale years ago. It was a bookkeeper's house. And so I left that estate sale with boxes and boxes of vintage ledger paper, vintage envelopes, vintage index cards. And I think still that was probably my best estate sale find ever for my purposes. And so this is just a little video of me showing you what exactly is included and putting them together. I love this tier. It's very special to me because, like I said, it very much inspired my Patreon as a whole. And of course, I add my little thank you sticker on the back of that envelope. Creating for me is very therapeutic, and I love once a complete tier in my collection is done. It's very satisfying. So that is a video that you are looking at right now of all of my pen pal mail. I do stick that thank you sticker right on the back because I am so grateful. So there's a look at my postcard tier. I love those postcards. They'd be so good for journaling. I saved one actually from my journal, and my pen pal tier. And this is actually my zine tier. Going into the new year, actually, my plan is to modify the zine tier, but right now it is a small um, paper journal that you receive in the mail. And so this month it is, of course, mushroom and butterfly themed, and they're sort of just smaller versions of my journals almost. I also added some fabric trim from the journals that I created. And so these ones were very woodsy and very sort of fairy, and I really was happy with how these turned out. I actually love the size too because it's a size that you can kind of just stick right into your journal. And every month I say I'm going to make an extra one and keep it. And every month I just run out of time. And I'm especially sad this month because these are so beautiful. And I stick them in a vellum envelope. And then I'm going to wrap them with some twine and put my sticker on them. Something about vellum and wax paper and parchment paper, that's what I used a lot for my wrapping for this particular collection. I just think it coordinates and really adds to the journals. I do take a lot of time to package almost everything that comes out of my studio in a very specific way. I think the reason for that is, for me, I'm hoping that when you receive items for me, it's not just something you get in the mail, it's actually an experience. It takes me over a month to complete a collection. And so it's something I've sort of lived with, not only creating, but once things are done, they're actually used almost as decor in my studio. My studio is very small, so I just have to put things where they fit. So it's something that's been in my life for a while. So saying goodbye, I almost like to make it an experience. and a holistic experience. So I hope when you receive your items in the mail from me, they feel special and you can see that they are very loved. Now, the next item I'm going to show you is something that was also very influential to this collection. I made these very early on in the month when I started making this full mushroom collection, and they were these little butterfly fairy journal charms. Now, you can use them anywhere. I do have a gold eye hook right in the top, so you can add it to your journal with a bulb pin. But these little fairies were so fun to make, and I think I made 55. They were in my ephemera boxes. So we've moved on to the ephemera tier. So now what I'm going to do is pack up each and every one of those little fairies. I'm going to put them in some brown parchment paper, and I'm going to add a flower right to the front. Each one of these little fairies is completely handcrafted by me. They are wooden clothespins that came brand new. I distressed each and every one of them. I fussy cut each one of the butterfly wings that are on their backs. I added them to vintage book pages. I distressed them. I wrapped them in lace to create their dresses. I added their little arms that are pipe cleaners. I added by hand moss and then tiny mushrooms. Each and every one of them have an eye hook in the top that I drilled a tiny hole and screwed in each and every one of those eye hooks. So these journal charms are absolutely handcrafted by me and made with a lot of love. I enjoyed every minute. I know everything I just described seems like an awful lot of work. And while it was, creating to me is something that brings me a lot of joy. And this particular item, these little fairies, brought me an immense amount of joy. And so it was quite an honor to be able to wrap each and every one of them to get ready to send to their forever homes. And here they are all packed up. One of the favorite, but this is again one of my favorite things that I've made in a very long time. So what I'll do now is just give you an overview of all of the goodies that were in the ephemera box this month. Sometimes they come in an envelope, sometimes they come in the box. This was a box month, and so there's lots of little goodies, fabric swatches from the journals I made, so you can make tags or your own mini fabric journals perhaps. You get moss and a mushroom and a little parchment bag. Some of these beautiful digitals that you can use as perhaps journal tags or journaling cards. I also hand painted each and every one of these little vials that are filled with little metal journal embellishments and supplies. They look like toadstools. And yes, I did dot each one of those little white dots by hand. You're also going to receive a wooden stamp. Many of them are from the 80s and the 90s. They're just fun little stamps. Some are a little bit smaller, some are a little bit bigger, just like the vials. So if you get a bigger vial, you'll get a smaller stamp. If you get a smaller vial, you'll get a bigger stamp. It's a trade-off. So this is me just sort of putting these adorable toadstool vials into the little wax paper bags. I do that just to keep them safe. They're a very thick glass vial. I don't necessarily have concerns that they're going to break, especially because everything is being sent in a box. But I think it adds to the overall presentation, which is also, like I said, very important to me. And if you have come this far, please give this video a like. I am trying to get better at not only asking you if you would be so kind as to like my video, but to also return the favor and like and comment and subscribe on all of the channels that I watch so often. I watch a lot of YouTube and I'm not a liker, I'm not a commenter, but I'm trying so hard to do that because I see how much it actually helps my channel. So I appreciate you if you have liked this video. Thank you so much. So now I'm just going to add all of the goodies into the little box that I have ready. Those are all very vintage book pages. I believe that book was from the 1930s. And then I added those large dried flower and dried, they're like leaves and different things like that. Stickers, they're actually stickers. And then I add a napkin so you could do some decoupage, one of those little wrapped fairies. I'm also adding these mushroom journal cards. I was trying to show you and I was unsuccessful, but they're journaling cards. They are digitals. And then this is the fabric swatches, and those are from the journals that I created. One of those glass vials that looks like a toadstool, a wooden stamp. It looks like that one is a ladybug, some moss and a mushroom if you wanted to create something on your own. And I'm going to add a piece of parchment paper right on the top. And I realized I don't think I added my little note for the month into this, but I promise you I did into the ones that I sent out. I also just wanted to take a moment to thank my husband. Shout out to him because he constructed all 50 of these boxes for my ephemera tier. So I appreciate you. So every month is an absolute journey for me. I have sort of refined my process and I'm in such a happy place in regards to how I create collections. And like I said, the journal is probably every month the most important component. And this is how I wrapped my journals this month. These journals are very close to my heart. They're very inspired by a lot of things. Most importantly was my barley. And I have that whole story on Patreon if you want to hear it. It's in one of my lives, probably. I probably cry, but so let me just show you how I wrap one of these beautiful mushroom and butterfly journals. I have some ephemera here that I put on the top. I love this paper tape. I get it at Daiso, and it's very strong, sturdy, but it actually is just like brown craft tape, and I love it. It's very sticky. It's perfect for wax paper and parchment paper. And then I have scraps from the journal I'm showing you there, and this is the cover and the insides. Each journal has a couple of those paper clips with those Tim Holtz transparent butterflies right on the top. So I'm going to remove them just for shipping so that they stay safe. And I'm going to use some washi tape and just put them on the inside cover. And these journals, as every month, are completely handcrafted by me. These ones started as chipboard. They were covered in multiple layers of fabric. I added embellishments. The insides are all hand sewn. There are 3 signatures, and I love, love, love the outcome. I've said it once and I will say it again. I think this collection and these particular journals are probably my favorite journals I've ever made, if not definitely top 5. I love everything about them, the vibe, the colors, the fabric used, the images, the insides. I love everything about them. So I hope everyone receiving one truly enjoys the creative process of using them. And I'm just so grateful. So everyone on the journal tier, the journal and ephemera tier, or the I Want It All tier received one of these precious journals. And whenever I'm packaging, I do try to use items I already have. So this particular wax paper came directly from my kitchen from when I make cookies. And this red and tan striped twine is something I often keep on my desk. I love it. I got it at the Dollar Tree. The little wooden holder, however, is from Home Goods. I got it a couple years ago and I just use the twine from Dollar Tree to replace it since the one that came with it ran out years ago. And so I love using that, and I think it was the perfect vibe for this month. I'm going to use some of this ephemera I have left over from a prior Your Creative Studio box. It's fun to pay it forward, and I think these had a really pretty vibe. Some of them are floral, many of them are just vintage looking, not actual vintage. I always add my little thank you note for the month, and I'm going to use that paper tape to just put it right on the top. The next little touch is adding some of those scraps right to the top of the package. And I'm just going to use my stapler to do it. I always save my scraps. If you watch any of my YouTube videos, I always save scraps. I put them in a little box. And so when I have projects like this is when I pull them out and I staple them right to the top. I personally love the way this looks, and it's a little textile bit you can use in the journal or in another journal or just keep. So I have 2 completely wrapped, only about 22 to go. So here they are, all wrapped. I keep them in this bin because I don't really have space anywhere else for them right now until I get them ready to ship to their new homes. And one last little bit that was totally optional for this collection. If you are on my Patreon tier, you had the option of purchasing an additional journal charm. Some people did do that so they can add to their journals. So I am just giving you a peek at those journal charms and some of the goodies I put on there. Of course, there is a fairy on there that I made. I added some mushrooms. There are little vintage dollhouse spoons. There's a vial with a mushroom and some moss. Just lots of very thematic sweet goodies, little vintage jewelry, some keys. I love making journal charms, so this was really fun. So I hope you enjoyed this peek into my studio. Well, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that behind the scenes look at my studio and what it takes to put together and curate a collection for Patreon. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Our theme for the month of November is the holidays, and all of that happy mail will ship December 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And I hope you all have a really great week. And it is officially the holidays now because Halloween is over. I will miss Halloween, but I am so excited to get into the holidays. So have a really good one. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye.